cramps, and then just a little personal FYI on myself. And I'd like to start by saying it was an absolute beautiful day. I got a shot that I was able to share on Facebook, which I use sparingly, even though I know I appear to post a lot. It's my way of venting and getting my little secret squirrel messages out. And don't read into that for people that shouldn't. Anyway, before I get started on, I believe it was Ely, where Tammy and I just came from Athens, taking a long bus ride up to Ely, Minnesota. And, well, first to Duluth and then Ely, Minnesota. Her pastor, one of her former pastors, gave us a ride up to Ely, which is a couple hours away, at least 2 hours. And before I go there, I'd like to share a very special person in my life. May he rest in peace. We called him Willie. I'll just leave it at that. One of my grandmother's, one of my blood cousins. Very active. Grew up in Auburn. Young in his adult life, got a job like I've mentioned, most of my cousins and a lot of my relatives, which I had quite a big blood family as far as cousins and whatnot, that were either knew somebody that worked at Boeing, or they themselves worked at Boeing, or their parents, one of my aunt or uncles, worked at Boeing. Very Boeing-oriented family. And Willie had just gotten a job at Boeing and was showing this fella a cafe-style bike that he had just purchased, and I believe was showing the fella how he was able to corner on it, or maybe he was even gonna showing the guy how it cornered because he was going to sell it to him, one or the other. Either way, the way I understand it, I wasn't there, but very close-knit family back then, used to play and go to family affairs and stuff before my life seemed to, off to that island. Real neat guy. Like into motocross and stuff like that down by the Green River, and just really neat fella. And I guess the foot peg, as he was going around the corner to show this other friend of his, or a potential buyer, how the bike cornered, the foot peg hit the pavement, and the bike flipped, and coincidentally he basically lost his legs. He had major surgery. They had to open up his back, and he still had his legs, but he couldn't feel them. So he would run into issues like they would start to burn and roast when we were camping and whatnot. And then he wouldn't be able to feel it, so they would get infected. And the reason I bring him up is because he tragically, not too awful long ago, after receiving, probably some demonic whispers and whatnot, because this guy before he took his life, this fella, he had Gimpy's small engine, and he had a little quickie wheelchair and a hand set up on his Impala. Matter of fact, that's the house we went to when my brother and I ended up going up the river the first time for that Auburn deal where Zeus and the King County Shepherd were on us. We went to his house, and we're actually in the back of his car when they stuck a gun to our head and we ran off, which probably explains why he didn't want us around after that. Well, it was the only place we could go. You know, it was the only place close, and the helicopters were in the air. And anyway, that's a whole nother book there. He was able to fold that thing up, throw that chair in the back real quick, and if his tire hadn't have been low and him using the little cigarette lighter tire pump to pump up the Impala, we'd have been gone. So it was all meant to be, I suppose. Of course, I didn't mention the other one fellow that was with us for a reason, but he got caught by the German Shepherd, the King County German Shepherd. He ran that way. Me and my brother were able to get out that way. We left the pistol in the car, and they were, like I said, I don't want to spoil it because I want to do a little chapter on that, a little short series just on that. That was crazy. And remind anybody that's thinking about it, stay out of people's homes, because had those people been home, I'd have caught a bullet right between the eyes by all rights. So, as that pistol was hanging on the bedpost there, so good for him. Anyway, the reason I brought him up is because, you know, he was really a really decent fella, on top of an amazing mechanic, and his life seemed to be going just awesome. A lot of business and stuff, and then he moved down on a boat, I believe, right down in between, right there on the Columbia there, and shot himself with a shotgun. But really neat guy, and the reason I bring him up is because he reminds me, and pretty much looks like the guy in what is it, in Police. He kind of looks like Sting, which reminds me, I wanted to share this song that I heard today with you guys, and it goes, I will listen hard to your tuition. You will see it come to its fruition. Oh, you'll be wrapped around my finger. Yes, I'll be wrapped around your finger. Whoa. I will turn your face to alabaster. When you find your servant is your master, oh, you'll be wrapped around my finger. Yes, I'll be wrapped around your finger. Yes, I'll be wrapped around your finger. Yes, you'll be wrapped around my finger. Oh man, I love you guys so much. I would have popped on earlier, but the thing is, well, I wasn't able to. You know how things happen. But not like you might, like the devil has been trying to get in there, baby. No, like I said, You get two that are unmarried to file in the marriage bed. Not only do you, it, my heavenly king, right off the bat, which is, bad mojo. And then you defiled that person's husband or wife's, future wife's marriage bed, or previous. So, anyway, enough of that, because it has nothing to do with, not no guilt trip or nothing. It's just that things like this, they come out. And you said 3 years. You know what? You're absolutely right. And I made that clear. I'm not going to lie. I might be a little mistaken. It's just 5 years for me on this little campaign trail thing with the trumpet of truthers here. And the whole movement and everything, where I got the impression. But it's all just coming together. It's amazing. So I was thinking about Willie wanna, and he was just awesome. So may he rest in peace. And I was thinking about, and you know, this F key I'd like to bring up had been missing. I got this computer not long before I turned myself over to the Dragon. For it would just so happens for all of us, which is a blessing, is really, and people in there, just a bunch of, just, and counting, right? And counting. This F key from this computer that I got not long before I, like I said, went to feed the warden and be instrumental in winning souls. I love when she goes like that. You're right, Tor. It is. It really is cute. It really is. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. And that was a little underhanded there, just a little. But hey, all is fair in love and war. I told you that, within reason. About the whole stinky pruno deal, and I get it. I seen what was going on and everything, and I have to remember, baby, that you are quite jealous. But like I said, I love you and I respect you, and I'm not going to cross that line, and I haven't. That's why I've been blessed, and these things have been going on like this. Because whether you decide it happens or not, here's the thing: my faithfulness, just like Abraham's, was accounted to him as righteousness, and the prayers of a faithful prevaileth much. That's all I got. Like I said, I'm just simply a messenger passing mail, and there's nothing worse than reading mail that is not yours. If it's not intended for you, it's creepy. Even in the height of my dysfunctional, demonic theft, little, like I said, man, when I'm going to write a whole book on having my picture circulated. Not just casino stuff. I'm talking about just never. We'll talk about it, or it'll come out eventually anyway. Because as soon as I get a bigger platform and things are gonna get rocking and rolling, oh man, the vision I seen, it's all coming true. I couldn't believe it. But this would have happened earlier. This all would have happened earlier. Even before I met you, this all would have happened with LOL. It all would have happened. This big movement that I'd seen, this whole thing, right? That in '06 when I seen the Oprah Winfrey doing the interview with A Million Little Pieces, the guy from A Million Little Pieces. It turned out to be a plagiarized deal, and the Lord told me right when she said, watch him, and he was arrogant. I didn't know. I didn't even care. I didn't watch Oprah. I didn't watch any of that stuff. I was waiting. My children had just come right on through. See, I almost said kids. I'm learning. We get brainwashed so very easily. They come running through the door, Daddy, and then they made a little snack. We're going to the Boys and Girls Club, which Maine, like I said, Portland, back then in '05 and '06 was, know about now, but it was amazing. Neat place to pick antiques. They were everywhere, man. People didn't even care. I was like, holy smokes, man, you're throwing this away? I found so much neat stuff. Those gold, those 18 karat gold rimmed glasses I found in the garbage can. I ended up paying to get lenses put in them. Those are the ones I have a picture of when I'm in California with the chicken by the water trough. Anyway, so that's why I mentioned that. But anyway, this F key had been missing. Thank you, Lord, for bringing this back to my remembrance. Had been missing um, uh, uh, before I got home, or back to the house, I should say. My son was horse playing around, and if you see on the G part right here, it's got like a little. It's also disfigured here because my son dropped basically a hot nail on it, and the F key, the F pink, and just flew. It just flew right off. He said, and it was not repairable. It still works, but it was amazing. See these little things. Everything that adds up. It's some people say it's just crazy. A lot of people say, oh man, you just can't deny this. They're little old Rodriguez. No. Mm-mm. And those Luciferians. Oh, those silly, silly rabbits. Anyway, so here we are. We're in Ely. Me and Tammy. And like I said, she had they when I say they, I believe now it was the Luciferians. That's really what I believe. And they weren't able to hurt Justin, which was her first son, and they diagnosed her why she was pregnant, or in that little town, and one quack doctor is all it takes, and next thing you know, they were talking her into signing that baby over. Is probably what happened, because the only thing I could see that was she just needed some good mental health counseling. And I'm not a doctor, but Dr. Steeny. But because I was screwed up myself. I didn't have no son. My picker was broke, but praise the good Lord, just like with my baby Silly here, that's the only thing that came good. Well, no, it's not. There's a bunch of stuff that came out of, because I've learned a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff about people that are troubled, especially people that are troubled, that know they're troubled, that don't get help, that really they just continue to perpetuate madness, and they don't. And pretty soon, eventually nobody. After a while, nobody wants a crazy old bag lady that has a hoarding issue into their house. And if they can't save money because they spend money like it's sand in their eye, they just got to get it out, right? Because I guess they get high off, and I'm sure that's what I was led, that's what happens. And I'm not glorifying myself, but I like to stack money. It's not even my God. I've had the same. My son just asked. Never. I'm not going there. It's not like I have a lot of money. It's just that what little money I have, I'll hang on to it, or then I'll just send just a little bit off to somebody for Christmas for some cookies, some cheap old dollar store cookies in Airway, and some coffee for Christmas, because I can't afford it much. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that you can't make people change, and I don't even want to. I want somebody that wants to be with me, and I'm not insinuating anything to my future wife, unless you're receiving it that way, I suppose. Otherwise, just let it fall off you, and like I said, take what you can use, leave the rest. I'm saying that there are people. I'm just done, and I don't like dealing with people that are, especially if they get into drinking. Oh God. Hoarder, then drinking, and it's just a combination of stuff, and they can't save money. And so who's going to take care of them? Because once they finally get to an age where body isn't being able to produce what somebody's going to require in order for them to be employable, and then what are they going to do? Who's going to take care of them then? What are they going to do? Whistle a tune for someone? Although that the Bible says, and that's what we're supposed to do. Hey man, if that's all you can do is whistle a tune, do that. Contribute is what it is. If a human doesn't want to work, he doesn't want to eat. Doesn't it make you feel better when you've done anything? Contributed anyway. Fold onto you, and I won't get into detail either, but I keep things running. Otherwise, there would be a trail, a straight trail, and when you don't raise people in certain ways, or even pick people like that, you have to realize it. Anyway, that key was gone because now the Lord's like, son, hey, X-nay on the, get out, man. It's reminds me of right when I said that, reminded me of Chong. He was on the phone to Cheech, and he was in the house in up in smoke, and won't get high, won't get high. That one where he's on the phone. What's that? He's like, man, get out of the house. So I'm gonna cut it off, that one, because it can be easy to digress. And hey man, I love people and I pray for them, but after a while, they'll just, it's like a drowning swimmer. You know, I've saved 2, 3 of them now, my own children, because somebody well, here I go again. If you ever go down by the water, at least make sure, and you got children with you, you know how to swim, or make sure they have some kind of protective, like a life preserver or something. You don't go jumping in right away. So anyway, back to Ely. We're in Ely now. Awesome little town. She's given up Justin a few years before, and now she's just really starting to show, like I said. I end up palling up with some of her high school chums, and she had moved at quite a young age, from South Haven, Michigan, where I ended up later on going down the road, and I'll get to excuse me, I'll get to that. So I'm in Ely, slaying the fish, just absolutely killing it. I would go up. I end up meeting a lot of real neat, just the neatest people, Finlanders, me Finns, and me called me people, and I didn't even know it, right? Everybody doors unlocked. I didn't rip anybody off like that. I finger discounted some stuff at the store. They didn't even care if you had a receipt, man. It was such a small knit town. It didn't even matter. It was completely a ghost town. Not really. The locals were there, but it was just a one main town, one main road, Sheridan. I lived 527 East Sheridan, and there are bunch of liquor outlets, lounges and whatnot, and But other than that, summertime, that was all that, then it was loaded in a bunch of outfitters. People would sell shiners and minnows and stuff like that. But I befriended this really neat, one of many neat guys, but this guy his name was, God, I just had it too, tall Aboriginal guy. Really neat dude. Reminded me of Philip Lopez, the youngest one of the Lopez family. His name was Pete. His name was Pete, and he would always walk around. He had these incense going. He smelled awesome. He was just a neat guy. His mind was awesome. He was just so calm and peaceful. I liked being around him. Well, he took me up. I ended up buying a little Chevy Citation, which is kind of funny, ironic in a way, and I'll tell you why. It'll play in later on down in here in the story. But he takes me up and into Babbitt. I think Babbitt. Yeah, like they call it Babbitt Wabbit. That's where we'd go and get our because it was just Mexican weed up there. There was nothing really. I think there was a little bit of hydro, but not a lot. If there was, you were going to pay a lot, just like in Maine. You wanted anything other than Mexican weed, you're going to pay for hydro. Which, looking back now, I'm glad I didn't know what I know now, because I probably would have gotten really big trouble and it wouldn't have turned out the way it is now, like it's supposed to, right? Or he would have took that which isn't and make it as if it were. How if I would have just given my, because it's an iffy thing, us people. Oh yeah. But so he takes me up to Babbitt, and these really neat folks. Well, they're all neat. They're all most of them are all Finns. They're all Finlanders. They're all Celtic. They're all Aryan people. They came up from they're old miners and stuff. A bunch of mines, bunch of ooh, you dirty, hang tight, people. I'm gonna just make sure we got. So anyway, he takes me up to these friends of his, and they allow me to park my little citation, and to hike up about maybe 3 to 4 miles through the blueberry patch, up to where a DNR, many lakes, where a DNR canoe was stashed away for the Department of Natural Resources officer or warden to come up and just kind of inspect the way things are whatever they do up there. I cut the trees down. They're studying on how they're growing and the ecosystem, how it's whatever they do. Well, anyway, so I hike about 3 miles up through this blueberry patch to this awaiting canoe, like they said, and sure enough, this beautiful lake that I was just slaying the northern pike with just a Rapala, just a regular artificial lure, which I would never have an opportunity to catch fish like that here in Washington, at least not. Oh, here we go. Let me try to, at least not now. Maybe when my dad Fred was around, every little creek had fish in it. But I have to do this to make sure that I'm still running, because sometimes it'll show that they play fiddle faddle. Anyway, so I was slaying these huge northern pike in this canoe. And I learned real quick, you do not stand in a canoe and cast a pole. But I had such a blast, and sure enough, they said that their dogs would probably follow me up, and good thing that they did, because those blueberries were ripe and there was bears all over. And but I had an absolute blast. Of course, I started drinking again and getting into mischief and stuff I shouldn't, and I got pulled over, and by then my warrant ended up kicking in from Washington, and Tammy was quite a ways along with little Donnie, and so I was not only headed to jail for now a DUI, which they would have just kept me in Virginia, because Ely jail was just a place they just had one cell, and if I would have not had a warrant, I would have spent one night there and then got out with a court date. But because I now had a warrant, I woke up thinking I was going to go home, and they said, well, we got bad news for you, Mr. Steen. Washington wants you. And I literally felt my heart just absolutely just sink. And so, and because it was a felony, I wasn't being housed in Virginia, where I would have been housed had I not had a warrant and got a court date and went to court and ended up having to do time. I would have just came in off the street and did it in Virginia. But instead, I had to go because I had a felony to the Duluth County Jail, which is where this Intwy de Mela thing all comes in on this little black and white TV that I would have never even thought. But for some reason, like that dang the impression to pay attention to that Oprah program, which I never would have, but I was fixated on the TV and drawing, and the Lord said, you're gonna, and I just started seeing all kinds of things that were gonna start. Well, I've been seeing things that were gonna happen in the future, but now I'm seeing that the past, present, and future are all becoming kind of one, which is really kind of neat. That's why I say it's such a neat thing to be alive and living. And even though my heart's aching for my mate, but so I just I stay excited because I know I've read the end of the book. It's still perpetual. We're kind of it's history. We're writing history. So we're recreators, not creators. A lot of people think that, but we're really not. We're just simply just vessels of one of two things. So anyway, I'm now in Duluth. Tammy's extremely pregnant. I'm just feeling like the dirt that I should. And she's coming all this way, this ass aching, excuse my language, ride, pregnant, to see me, my dumb ass that, is now, I'm having a hard time fighting extradition because they want me out of there. They want me out. So oh well, hello. Well, shit, I didn't know there was someone on here. Man, how do I do this? Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't even know how to do this. I'm still learning this stuff. And I got my grandson out here, so I'm going to try to figure out how to do this. Hold on, chat. Well, hello. And hi. And I'm glad to see you. I'll figure out how to do this. And I don't want to because I love my grandson. But if he's in here, we're all going to be singing Shark, We're all going to, and it ain't going to be the one going up to feed on the unsuspected seal pup. So I'll just say hi. And wow, I like that. I think I know who that is. God, oof. Oh, God, I miss you so much. I can't wait. I am just so, just... Donnie's been a good boy. Believe me, I've been a good boy. Donnie has been a good boy, and I deserve the most top-of-the-line bike. And that would be you, I believe. So don't read into that. Anyway, so here I am, poor Tammy. All pregnant, all pregnified, come all the way down to see me in jail. And this place is jail. It's dirty, it's cold. It's right next to the Lake Superior. It's just it's not a place to be, I'll tell you that. So there's one, let's just say, real flamboyant guy that has the only TV in the whole place. Now, they're not letting me fight extradition, but they're telling me I'm leaving. And something told me to ask this guy if I could borrow this little TV to take it back to my cell at night and watch, because I loved the Channel 9. I like the animal programs. I always have ever since I was a kid. The Mutual of Omaha was my favorite, really. And then the native, the Indian there and stuff. And now, of course, it all just makes perfectly good sense. But I didn't ask him, and then days had passed, and they're telling me, no, you're not fighting extradition. And so Tammy ends up getting a divorce, getting a, which, that's on my agenda, but if it was common law in reverse osmosis, I wouldn't even, that wouldn't even be an issue. But, so, she gets a marriage license from the Virginia, because I'm going to Virginia to deal with the DUI. So they're carting me up there. That's right. They had carted me up there, and me and a bunch of other guys in a van. And they kept saying, the cops, the whole way, because she'd visit me, and she said, "Look, I got a marriage certificate. We're gonna get," because I think I suggested that. Now I don't know, because, and I don't want to be misleading. But she's still alive, and if she's listening, well, at least I believe she is. I'd like to get a hold of her because, for no other reason than for the love of God. I've been trying. Your son would like to get a hold of you if your head's out of your ass, or, you know. So, pardon my French, people, but so where was I going with this? So this will happen now and again. Just pardon me for just a second. So she's seeing me. Oh yeah, Oh yeah, that's right. She got a marriage deal, so we could have Donnie. So he wasn't born out of wedlock. That's what it was. That's what it is, and will be. So she gets gets a marriage license, and I'm telling the cops as I'm going up, and they're laughing. They're laughing. The two that are shuttling us all to the Virginia County Jail. And they're laughing, going, "Oh God!" Especially you, if you really think this judge, whom we know, and we're in front of him, at least 3 days a week, sometimes 4. If you think he's gonna marry you two, you're highly mistaken. And not only are you mistaken, he said about that. He said you especially. He says they don't want you here. So haven't you got the picture? You're not even getting your evidentiary, or not like evidentiary hearing. I'm here in this last case. You're not getting your extradition hearing. So you haven't got the message yet. And so I'm thinking, yeah, shit. Well, I can't get too cocky because I get car sick really super easy. And those they can make things real rough on you. Well, me anyway. And it's not nice when you're sitting next to other people that are, they're all bunched up, chained up, and stuff. It's just not good. It gets stuffy real quick, and people get irritable fast. So they're mocking me on the way up, and long and short, sure enough, Tammy says, "Oh, Your Honor, I have one thing I want to," because they ended up, the judge is pretty much laughing at me because I said, "Look, they refused I wanted it on record. I said, they refused me my and he goes, "Well, that has nothing to do with me. You're here for something completely different." And then that's when Tammy stood up and says, "Well, I have this." And he kind of chuckled and said, "What do you want to marry this guy for?" And she says, "Well, I love him." And he asked me what I wanted to marry her for. And I wish I would have lied, kind of. But I didn't. I said, "Well, I don't want my son to be married out of wedlock," which was the truth. And even though I wasn't living a very honest life, I guess at that moment I decided to exercise a little bit of honesty. And wasn't even taking into consideration her feelings at all. So, but I'm not going to ever lie to you, baby. I won't do that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I don't, I'm not into that. I don't lie. I'm not into that kind of bullshit crap. Nobody has that kind of control over me. But he did. He said, "All right, I'm gonna." And those cops, I couldn't believe it. I wish I would have had them. Man, that would have been a Kodak moment there. That would have been a beauty right there. So I'm heading back. Oh shoot, here we go. So I'm heading back to the deal, and I want to rib these fools the whole way, but I know better. Because in this old nasty dingy ass jail, they can make things extremely difficult for little Donnie Steen. So I get back. I had 14 days. Now that my sentence is done there, they have 14 days to come get me for Washington, or I get to walk. So the time's just a ticking away, and every night something is leading me to ask this dude to get this TV, and I don't want to, because all this guy does, he watches like Golden Girls and stuff like that, which I kind of liked Golden Girls, the old lady and stuff like that, but you already know. So, and and back then I wasn't, too tolerable, but I had a heart, and then I had this little false persona, kind of I had to play into, even though I wasn't a follower. It was one of them just a little snidbit of just chicken shit stuff, Even though I didn't buddy up with anybody, but I guess I'm just over explaining. I ended up asking the guy the night, literally the last night, 13th night, and 13th's not always a bad thing. It just depends. It's intent. You guys will find that out. It just you already know. We just slap it. We just turn. See how they turn everything around? These Luciferian draconian freaks. We just spin that around on them. That's all we do. We just run it. We just run it however way we need to salt them real good, and then they leave a real slimy trail. Which reminds me, and I don't want to bring it up, this live thing that I seen today. Now I know for sure they're all just gone. And I seen it through the one's eyes. The seduction, it was trying to with your old man, baby girl. I'm telling you, and you already know. Oh, isn't that you? She laid that down 3 times. My name. 3. I know what they do. That's why when they go out and they chant these names of these dead people and all that you're not supposed to do that. You don't do that. That's like me playing with a Ouija board in Walla Walla. You know what kind of that does? Oh my gosh. I learned, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but so here I am. I'm now married. It's the 13th day. I went ahead and I asked this fool for the TV. I said, and something just, and I tried to explain a whole lot anyway either, because I figured he just was going to tell me no anyway. So I just wanted to get it over with, almost like when my mom was all the time she'd boot me out. She'd like, are you listening to me? Are you looking at me? And I finally figured, wow, she's sucking something out of me. And I'm like, yeah, but really I wasn't. Just get to the end of it, man. Let's just get this shit moving. I got some, before it gets too cold out there, I might be able to get somewhere. But so I just laid it on the fool. I just said, listen, can I get your TV tonight? And he looked right at me. He says, if you break it, if it even, and I'm serious, unplug it at night, pull it off the thing, because they're little dingy ass. It looked like death row, because that's where they kept us when we come in off the chain in Walla Walla. That's how I was able to see Norman over there. I said, oh my God, that's Norman. This one guy goes, oh man, you know that dude? And I didn't want to tell him. Oh yeah, I know Nancy real well. But he said, oh, that fool. And I heard stories about him, her, when I was back on the back hall in SPOO, Special Housing Unit, when I was a juvenile. I heard about him kicking someone's head off their shoulders playing basketball. But I thought it was just a rumor. But now I know this is real shit. Oh my God, could you imagine if I would have got pissy and ended up saying, hey, listen here, man. That's some false shit you did to me, and that's some rotten shit. I'd never do that to you, So anyway, I get the TV. I set it up. It's freezing. It's a nasty ass place. This place is. I hope they've tore this crap down. This is like Alcatraz. It really is. It's cold. You're cold. It's late, but I wanted to watch because I only had so much time, and So I turned it on, and all of a sudden, I just get this impression that washes over me, and I might even, I don't know, but something happened. I would just walk up and down the halls to stay away from them fools that were watching that TV. And as I was walking up and down that long, cold hall, I would just brush my hands across the radiators. They had these huge radiators, and they didn't seem to keep running with hot water too well, but I don't know, I just had this impression that something amazing was going to happen that night, that 13th night, like some way, somehow that, that they weren't going to, something was going to happen. And sure enough, when I turned that TV on, I was like, oh, right on, there's hyenas. Oh, those dirty sons of bitches. Yeah, those guys, they have some, they have that freak thing. That's that freak of nature thing going on there. And that cackle. That cackle has always creeped me out. But then it said here the muffled sounds just rang out over the throughout the bush onto the ears of Intwi Demela. And right when I heard that, I heard Intwi Demela, I felt something just wash right over me, and I just felt like this just weight just lifted off me, like you know. And I heard tomorrow you're gonna have some really good news. And I was like, I knew I was getting out. I just knew I was gonna get out. I was gonna see my firstborn, my first son born, and oh, it was gonna be glorious. I just knew it. Of course, you know, I didn't really. I guess I must have knew something. You know, there was a seed planted somewhere along the line. I don't remember saying God or thank you Jesus. I don't remember any of that. If I did, I just don't remember. So I'm not going to say that I did. But I'll tell you, something happened to me in that nasty, cold, lonely ass cell that I was completely broke. I was broke. I was, you know, I wanted to change. I just didn't know how. Here's my opportunity. I want to, you know, I want to be a father, but I don't even know how. I don't even have an identity. The Satan knew from the beginning. Also, he had to keep this also us from communicating. Right, he didn't want this from taking place right now. I guarantee right now they're going, just shut, please. He's still talking, because it's going to get good, and it just keeps happening. Because every day I'm just seeing so much stuff. Like I said, I don't write stuff down, but the Lord says, now you're gonna start writing stuff down. I did when I was incarcerated, but I don't want to get off track. So here I am. I see that Intwi Demela, and I felt this just wash over me, in the way that the female lion just kind of didn't give up, but she knew that thing was not something to. She didn't want to get. Of course, we all know that the lioness is the one that hunts. Of course, that's how us. Well, look, that's how is it here in human society, right? It's pretty much the same way in a lot of senses. So, but she knew, and I was like, oh man, it got away. But I noticed that I was like living that moment. She was like, oh yeah, now I see that. Oh, Daddy's about ready to fix old Hogwash Waters' little wagon wheel. And so yeah, it was so exhilarating seeing that, and I so identified with that, and I had never seen that before, and it was quite a while ago. And then just recently, well, not recently, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, I seen it, and I posted it, and the Lord said, "Son, that's your heavenly name. That's your that's your heaven-given name. That's the name that you're going to be called. That the angels refer to you as, Intwi Demela, he who greets with fire." And then later on, lighting of the lamps was prophesied and been incorporated into my life back in '06. And then later on, the repent of your sin, died once, nevertheless alive, living doctrine. Spirit testifies, every evangelist now present, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Was some, the Lord said, "Son, that's your earthly name, and this is who you are while you're still completely when you're not completely clothed in righteousness yet. You're not the bride. You're not the bride yet. You're still to be. You're becoming." But Intwi Demela, he gave me kind of the dessert before. So now, the very next day, I slept like a baby. And I've slept like a baby for years. And you know, I've had some crazy stuff. I've left a lot of stuff out too, that I'm going to go back and I'm going to brush up on some stuff. But I've left some stuff out too, because it's just so, there's so much to say and to remember and stuff. But I trust the Lord. That's why I don't really plan the whole situation. I just let it roll, because I trust my Heavenly Father. There's that little lizard, like, you know, that faith cooking across that water. And so the next day, I give that dude his TV back. And right after breakfast, about 9, 10 o'clock, they say, Steen, roll up. I went, I knew it. I'm going home. I'm going to be with my wife and my baby. And so I roll my stuff up, and they come and get me in this one cop comes and gets me. And I think they also did service. I think they also did, like, some of the sheriffs here do. They work in the jail, and then they also go out, you know, because they you know, they'll have a holster that's empty that's in the deal. But the jailers, they won't, you know. But anyway, long and short, old elevators, you know, they're like old service elevators. I'm all excited. I got my real thin, freeze your butt off, real thin blanket they gave you, and all my little sheet and stuff. And we're heading down. I'm all excited. I'm going, man, I'm gonna get me some McDonald's today. And he says, not today. And right about that time, the doors are opening up. And I said, what do you mean, not today? Because I'm thinking, I'm going out with me and Tammy. We're gonna go. I'm gonna get me a Big Mac and a big old large fry and apple pie. And I was gonna get it all and some. So he goes, not today. You're not. And he goes, you see that guy right there? I said, yeah. He said, well, that guy's here from, and I go, that plainclothes guy? And he goes, yep, that plainclothes guy. He goes, that guy's here, he's a warrant officer, he's here from Washington to come get you. And my heart just sunk again. I'm so angry, I can't see straight. And he introduces himself as Peter Talhofer, and I didn't want to hear any of it. He gets me, he handcuffs me in the front after I switch out my jail clothes for. He handcuffs me in the front. He puts me in a rental car, which happens to be a Chevy Citation, almost exact years the one that I had just was pulled over in. That was now parked on 1211 East, not 1211 East, 527 East Sheridan. If I said 1211 East Sheridan, it wasn't that. It's 527 East Sheridan. 1211 East Alder is the juvenile hall. But I'm really bad with numbers, and I'm a fry brain with some stuff. So, anyway, I apologize. And I may have just, so you'll catch that. You guys will know. I don't lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll just flat out tell you, just like the earth, the shape of the earth. It doesn't even matter. Here's why. look at all the people that have opened that Bible and started from Genesis to see what it says about the earth and its creator. Think about it. So, here I am, fuming. I am smoking hot, right? Get into this citation. I'm like, oh, this is just great. I got a little beige citation up in the back on Sheridan that is soon to get snowed on, I'm sure. So we're heading down the freeway, heading to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and we've got quite a ride ahead of us. If I remember correctly, it's because we would frequently go to Minneapolis, St. Paul, Tammy and I. And I'll write a book on why we did that. Tuca, or El Tuca, and I'll write a whole little memoir on that little escapade there. Paul Abdul did escapade, didn't you? Or was that Paula? Or was it? So anyway, we're heading down the freeway, and I'm angry, and he's wanting to make small talk, and I'm not wanting to talk at all. And he's starting to tell me about our little trip we're taking, and we were going to fly and stuff. And I said, well, wait a minute, wait a second. I says, I'm not flying anywhere. I don't fly. And he said, well, that's okay. You don't have to. That's up to you. I can't make you fly. He said, so what that means is I'm going to end up having to call my the proper authorities to set up a stop for you, and then I'll get a room for, like I said the other day when I was coming, I believe he said this, for the sake of oncoming traffic and our safety, and I want to get home to my wife and get you back safely, so you'll be booked into whatever county jail that they have me arranged to go to a motel, and it'll take us a few days probably to get there. We might be able to make better time, but like I said, that's your that's going to be your option there if you don't want to fly. So we're going, and another, I don't know how much time elapses, and it's quiet. And he said, Mr. Steen, he says, I'm really impressed. And when he said that, I had the same feeling I got when I turned that program on, that Intwita Mela, He Who Greets with Fire, just the night before, just last night, with the dude's TV, which I probably really never should have gotten. But he says, I'm really impressed to tell you this, and I could get in trouble, but I want to say some things to you. And he started telling me about how he used to be a King County cop, and he worked the beat of an area I knew well, Pioneer Square. And he started telling me things that I'm not going to discuss right now, that he completely, like my last therapist, and then the good Lord, it was a combination of, it was a blending of things. It was a beautiful, harmonious matrimony of truth, logic, and common sense, melded with timing, and just the sure cries of God's up and coming, not only epistles, but correction rods. He's raising people up to watch the watchers and mock the mockers, so that it will expose what's really going on. It's happening right now. So anyway, he says, he ends up gaining my trust. Just, it was amazing. I couldn't believe, but now I know. Of course, more than likely an angel, this former cop that they couldn't get rid of, he said. They tried, but they couldn't, so they made me a warrant officer. So now I get to talk to you. He goes, and I believe I know, I think Jax needs to go outside, Don. So, I apologize. So, he completely gained my trust by exposing stuff that I kind of knew, and then some stuff I didn't know that I was really deep it is. Well, anyway, so he gained my trust, and he gained my trust, and I basically just listened to everything he said after that. And he goes, Donnie. He was calling me Donnie. I told him, no, you can call me Donnie. And he said, Donnie, do you know Jesus? Do you know God? And I just broke down and just started crying. I had so much pinned up. I don't even think it really hit the surface of my face. It almost like, I felt like it almost jumped out of, it was like it like cascaded down over my just reddening cheekbones. The floodgates just opened, and it was like the rest of what the night before had started to lift and reveal and soothe and comfort, but then also correct. It was all a very valuable learning lesson about how I perceive certain people, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So anyway, I'm bawling. He asked if he could lay his hands on me, and I was just bawling. I'm just like this, and I just shake my head, yes, like that. And he puts his hands on me and he prays for me. I really now feel something going on, and I'm just crying. Well, anyway, so now I don't know. He's just telling me stories about things that went on. All the people after that, he's just telling me about all the people that he would see in the People's Park, and we're coming out of the Compass Center and all them places up at Pike and stuff like that. And he was bringing up stuff like I was talking about when I was cleaning the plates off down at Godfather's down there on the pier on the waterfront. And I'd tell him, yeah, I got so hungry after a while. The lady knew I was ordering pizza in the phone booth, and then waiting for him to not go and picking them up and waiting for him to throw them away. And then when she found out, she was leaving what was left of the all you can eat out there for me, because she wasn't really supposed to give it away. But anyway, and I can write a whole book on what me and Isaac, old sick eye, old Isaac used to do down there with those meters. We called him a meter gusher. I was a meter picker. This guy was a gusher. And but I don't want to brag, but this is just the monastery. Oh, you want to talk about a freak that ran that? Oh God, I think that's still running there. But let's see. Oh no, hi, well, hello. Well, anyway, so we get to Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're at one of the cities. I can't remember. It's not even important which one. We get to a phone booth because he's lost and doesn't know where the airport is to return the car. Just needs some directions to. And I'm handcuffed in the front of the car. And I'm looking out to my right. I got these three black gentlemen that are approaching the vehicle. Cadillac. like I said, and I'm not downing anybody for the coffee on the last video. I'm really not. I'm just saying it gives me a headache and it whacks me out. But tonight I'm up. It's going to be up a little late. Maybe making some cookies and stuff like that with my grandson and daughter and my son, because things have been real kind of peaceful and it's been nice. So I made a Cadillac. Well, anyway, so we're lost, and these gentlemen, they come up to the car. Now they're going to rob me and him. They don't know that he's a cop, and because he's dressed in plain clothing, and I'm sensing this all just going down. I'm just reading the whole thing, and the two are drunk. I can tell they're drunk because I can kind of hear through the window, and he's trying to find out and the one guy's not, and I went like this. Boom, I went like this, and I went, look, this guy's a cop and stuff like that, and the two are like, who cares, man? Let's jack these fools, these old crackers or whatever. And which, by the way, that video earlier that I shared, that was pretty good about. But I kind of knew the Lord already showed me about the certain bloodlines cut of royal cloth, and but it's all coming out and counting. It's all coming out. And like I said, come as you are. But there's the many are called, few are chosen, and where there's much given, much is expected. And Steve, and I don't want to go because I've already thanked 3, Diamond and Silk, and 3 people whom I love very much, Steve and Steve, Hexenhammer. So, but he's right. He's right. Apparently, the suffering is in my case is a contributing factor. But there's all kinds of contributing factors, because I'm starting to see all these gifts that are starting to, even the gifts that I've had that I thought were just genetics, handed down, and plus they're being honed and enhanced and added to. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. So the one guys, we're communicating kind of, the guy that's not drinking. Imagine that. And I said, look, and he's like, come on, fools, let's get out of here. And finally, now Peter sees what's going on. And he moves his shirt back a little, and he's got the little badge, on his belt. And then they finally leave. And he goes, oh man, what was going on there? I was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't want to get into why. I just never really. So he finds them. We return the car. We're at the airport now. Now this is how awesome God, the good Lord is. This is the Lord we should be serving, really. That these Luciferians want you to believe that doesn't exist. Yet they got the dragon puffing and expect you to just die, go up and which way did you? They're just and again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, because people, bread and water, good host and good hostess. Remember, it's when those two can join, that Holy Spirit, it's gone. And when he's coming like a thief in the night. So can you imagine being caught up in your adulterous or adulterous fornication, and the good Lord happens to come unannounced like he is? Oh, he's there's signs leading up to it, but the actual, and that's perpetual. People don't get it. I'm telling you, you do not want to, any of you guys, it's best to marry so you don't burn with desire. And then even then we're to pray. And then it's on like Donkey Kong. Honestly, it's the Lord already showed me, and I don't even know what it's like. But he's given me a taste. That's what's made it easy for me to just balls to the walls, man. Anyway, I'm not trying to brag. It's just, I got to stay real so that people that need to know who I am, this is the only way they're able to do that right now. That I would like to embrace and even hug, even if nothing becomes of me, because I'm that kind of guy, and I honestly, even if you're not a hugger, it doesn't matter. Just I could just say hi. I'll see you guys. So you guys can see, and maybe then give your lives to the Creator, Yahweh, Abba. He's our Father, and it's not about religion. It's not about Bible thumping, but it is, humanity shall not live on bread alone, and that water, it's so fluent, Anyway, so there must have been a ball club in town. There must have been, there must have been a game in town or something, because there was all these real tall basketball tournament or something, but this NBA game or something, because there was just a bunch of tall dudes everywhere, and people were wanting to get autographs, and I didn't recognize it because I don't watch. I don't do any sports. I don't really care. I never have, and I played football when I was in Kent Junior High a little bit. That's how I know it's abnormal. And I don't mean to get off track. That's how I know it's weird if somebody like Snaggletooth in Echo Glen is doing a hemorrhoid check and a hernia check at the same time. See, because when I was playing for signing up for football in junior high, 7th grade in Kent Junior High, they did both, but they didn't do it at the same time. So I knew there was weirdo. These people are, and they farmed him out. This was their, Anyway, I digress. So there was people getting autographs, and he goes, "Hey, Donnie." We went to go through security, and his gun's going off, and they're flipping out, and he's trying to show them the paperwork, and my handcuffs are going on. It was a mess because nobody said anything beforehand, and I gathered this. Now, this is one of their ways of messing with him. This is because they couldn't fire him. So this is one of his ways. Now he's trying to, and they have to call and this and that. It was a mess. So we're past the security part now. He goes, "Hey, you're hungry?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You want McDonald's?" And I went, "Yeah." So now this McDonald's thing, the Lord, He took that which isn't and made it as if it were. As if it are. Right, baby girl? He took a situation, and I had given my life basically to Him, and as far as I was concerned, even though I like a dog returning to my vomit, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But He took that situation. I thought I was going to McDonald's. He's like, "Oh, but I'm gonna make you are. Oh, you are. I'm gonna take what would normally be a negative thing, and I'm going to turn this thing right around." And sure enough, when I was watching that show the night before, entwined about the program, the nature program, the hyena versus the lion versus hyena, I got that same feeling with this man, Peter, and which I've come accustomed to recognizing and adhering to, and like I said, it's certain things that I'm led to say and not say, do and not do. It just depends. And I'm still learning. It really is a neat thing. So he goes, "We'll have a seat here." He takes my handcuffs off. I sit down. There's a big long line for McDonald's. All these people are getting autographs still. He sits me down. He stands in line. The line's now, his back's to me, and I'm watching him. He doesn't once turn around. Not one time. And if he did, I did not see him. And I'm sitting there, and I can't believe it, But if Steen Stinkin' Thinkin' didn't just strut its dumb little ass right in there and sit right down there on my left shoulder and say, "Check this out. That guy right there, he says he's a Christian, and if that's so, he's going to have to forgive you." And I'm like, almost like, My precious. It was serious. I've literally felt just the slime on this side, just like the Freddy Krueger on the phone. I think, wasn't that where it was? Huh? Tor, wouldn't you say Freddy Krueger? That's that. Remember, made my life, and I believe you were using that, but it's because I love you guys. So I'm gonna just give a small little reference and then go back. But it was just some slimy, and I kind of knew, but so I was thinking, yeah, he is a Christian. You'll have to forgive me, and I'm just gonna go see the baby born. That's all I'm gonna do, and then I'll turn myself in. You won't get in trouble, and it'll all be fine. I looked over one more time at him before I was going to make my move. And I went to get up, and I couldn't move. Ladies and gentlemen, beloved, I could not get out. I could move everything. I could even move this little swivel, little green little seat. I couldn't get out of it. It's like I was buckled in, kind of like the guy in the Red Lotus. I won't go there, right? So I was buckled down to my, and people are actually buying it. Oh, you silly fools! Don't be it's ho ho ho. Liar, liar, little kid was in there. I'm sure you guys picked that up when I was. Anyway, if you haven't, you did know. So if you don't know, well, now you know. We're going to have a lot of fun moments like this. We're just going to sing, and, we're going to have all kinds of stuff. You can have me days where I'll just do, silly stuff. I will do anything for love, but I won't do that. Steven, who's your favorite little rascal? Alfalfa or Spanky? Sinner. Love you, Steve. And don't worry, all dogs go to heaven. He's just resting. He's seen it was good. Oh, Hopper, he's gonna be there along with all my babies too. All right, my rescued little angels. And they're not always angels. Sometimes, somehow, some way it happens. I don't even know. The Lord said you don't need to right now, but it does. So I couldn't move. He comes back. He had bought me. I'm serious. He said, "Oh," I said, "Oh, you bought all this?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got this." Or he goes, "I'll eat a little bit of it." And I go, "Well, there's no way." And he goes, "Well, I had $25 I could spend on you." And back then, this was in 90, because Donnie was born in 2293. He's my little groundhog. He's my little groundhog. He was born 2293. Well, is there anything? Pretty thin. And then I'll watch so we can have matinee night together, sweetheart. Because I think you mentioned something about Die Hard. Because I thought it was kind of funny, when they were like, well, there's nothing to see there. And they're like, well, real thin. When the car blew up or whatever. And they're like, well, just like, what's going on here? Huh? You keep watching and you keep, and then you go, no. And then you kind of anticipate, and you go, oh my gosh, man, that's exactly what I was thinking. And then no. And it's almost, you play hokey pokey with you let the enemy just have its way. And then now, when you finally said, well, I believe, you know what? That's all you have to do. Jump in, because I'm telling you right now, I've seen it. Forever is a long time, and paradise is so beautiful. You had it right, sweetheart. It's standing right next to us when we're next to another person, so don't think that intercessory prayer isn't important. Where two or more gather. You confess with your mouth, you believe in your heart, he sends you a helper. That's one. You're two. Like my dad's intercessory prayers for me. That's the third one. Where two or more gather. He's there with two. Do you see? Where two or more? Two. Wherever you go, there you are. It doesn't matter where you are. This religion stuff is poppycock. That's why this water baptism thing is not doctrinal. it's not even spirit. It's not even. It has nothing to do with truth, logic, or spiritual sound harmony. It has no harmonics at all. There's nothing there. I knew when I heard it, but I didn't know. You know what the devil does? I'm gonna tell you what Satan and Dragon does. He loves, that's why he works on us when we're young with our self-worth. So we'll get around unhealthy attachments and we'll just stay boggled. And then all this water and poison food and air and all this crap. Did you see on my Facebook? All the and then right through the center another chemtrail, right through where the whatever you want to call it, is bug spray. And they spray different stuff at different times for different desired effects. That's really what it is. And I'm telling you right now, because where all that goes runs right into our beautiful, right here, the gut of Mother Earth. So anyway, he comes back, he's got everything. Everything. Can't possibly eat it all. I get on the plane, he says, look, I got to put the handcuffs back on you. Because the pilot, it's his vessel, and he wants to, it's his vessel. He wants you to be handcuffed. So, but good news, the stewardess said, there's a bunch of seats back there and back by the toilet, which I couldn't even use because now I'm handcuffed, right? And it's a free dinner flight, and they're gonna hook you up. And I said, oh, right on. And they did. They brought a lot of little treats and stuff. And I remember the earphones were like these hollow little tubes, like almost like a stethoscope. And then it plugged into the arm right here, and it was just like a hollow tube. And I don't even know what the movie was. I was so terrified. I did not like. Ooh, no, I don't do those. Like I said, I know people that work for Boeing at the time. Let me tell you, I've seen them put the same person through treatment. I mean, heavily addicted on stuff that would seriously complicate your ability to successfully complete and put together a plane which would be sufficient enough to cause me to feel comfortable resting under that whole ass notion that you draw a check from that company, Boeing. That's what I'm talking about. And as a kid, I seen them take off and fly. And of course, they don't have shit flying off them. They do today, but it's all just whipped up there. And then, no, it's not. Now it's look what's happening. You notice you get sores and stuff like that in places that you wouldn't. Our elk, deer getting this hoof stuff, they're aborting their. It's all by design. They don't want you to self-sustain. Most of these people can't. Do you know what's going to happen if, huh? They can't. They don't know how to hunt. They don't even know how to skin their. They don't know what they're doing. They don't even know. They don't know how to plant their own. If you can get, some fresh water, everything runs right down into. So here I am. I'm on the plane. We take off. I am completely. I told him when they were gearing up and juicing up the motor, about ready to slingshot us up into the stratosphere. I basically told Peter, okay, listen, I've changed my mind. He kind of giggled very respectfully and said, no, Mr. Steen, this is, it's a little late for that now. And when we took off, I was, this man ends up getting off, now it's a King County, his little unmarked car, takes me to King County Jail, downtown jail. And which I guess now they've turned a few floors, or we're going to turn a few floors. They're empty. They need to turn them into homeless encampments there. It's right by most of the people that were in tents, and you got to wonder where they are. Oh, they're there. There's some homeless ones, but they're a different class. They're the lower class are there now. Huh? We'll talk about that later. I got a lot of stuff, and new stuff just keeps coming. But again, I have to be, So, man, I just want so bad. So anyway, I get sidetracked sometimes. I think of that. be happy. I'm trying to. I went there before, but I don't know if it's just some, some kooky. I don't know what it is, and I want to believe it has something to do with you. And I think I went there one time, and I don't know. There was no one there. Something I don't know. And then I just never went back. So anyway, I'll get back to the Poland. He gives me. We get to the jail. He gives me his personal phone number. I didn't really understand why. Because I'm still kind of. I don't know. I'm still tripped out about the whole situation. So anyway, Tammy ends up getting on a bus. She's real close to giving birth, and she comes over to Bonnie Lake, which you see now. Everything, it's just going right back to it, and we'll discuss Bonnie Lake here in the next few segments. But she moves in with Billy, and she is not being very nice to Tammy while she's pregnant. And here, excuse me a moment. I'm gonna go let my dog Butter Boy out. This should only take just a moment. Let's go, Butter. Come on, baby. Butter, come on. Let's go. She's not being too nice to her at all. Matter of fact, she's not being too nice to her at all. Wicked and evil. But I wasn't quite hip to what was going on. So I'm in King County Jail. Tammy is now. She's at its house and everything's fine. I'm able to talk to her. She's only a month away from giving birth to Donnie, and which we've decided we were going to name him after me. And Billy was just being absolutely wicked. Matter of fact, Christmas Day, she wouldn't let Tammy accept a collect call from me, because that was her way of she hated herself. She absolutely was just writhing and just. Something happened to her when she was younger, and I don't know what it was, and I've tried to get to the bottom of it, but she doesn't want to talk about it. But something happened to her, and she just carries a lot of hate and anger and pain around with her, and she projects that by just causing as much dysfunction and discomfort for other people as she can. So she wanted to hurt me, and she wanted to hurt Tammy and the baby too, because when a woman is pregnant and they're stressed out, that's not good for a fetus to be. I know now today just how precious children are. Oh, you people! Even when they're just right when they're conceived, man, there's things going on there that they're hearing and experiencing through that beautiful oneness and growth time within the womb that is just, and the father really is very much should be a part of that. It's so important. Man, I can just see singing if I knew now what I knew then. But see, that's the thing. It's only a waste of time if you give up. And here's the thing. Also, it's a waste of time if you don't learn anything from your mistakes and apply what you've learned, so that you don't just continue to repeat like that Dragon Tales repeat history repeating itself and then becoming that curse, like it talks about, of the third and fourth generation, which I'm finding out now is a physical thing because of lust, and some of it was of money also. So my mom, she doesn't accept the call, but guess who does? Peter Tallhofer. He gave me his phone number. Now I know why. He accepted a collect call from me, so it really helped me out a lot. It helped me out a tremendous amount, and it was absolutely it was amazing that this ex cop, which, he was an officer, and it just, the Lord was using him, and then, like I said, a few other cops, I think a few officers, as it were, the game warden, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, so that my perception, my already warped perception that the enemy was warping, so that I wouldn't come to full fruition as to my calling and sanctification, and be prejudiced and biased over law enforcement, even though they're I can go on, I can a whole book on how broken the system is, but I still need the Lord. Can't use me if all I'm focusing on is the negative, and there was so much negative, even though I brought some of it on myself through the drawing of first blood on their part. Again, I'm not justifying it. It has nothing to do with an excuse on my part up to a point. It's a reason. Then it became an excuse. The minute I realized, just like the statute of limitations on the child rape, molestation, and trafficking, is only, I think, 3 years here from the time that a victim becomes aware that what had happened to them was wrong, and not only wrong, that it caused them damage, and not only damage for me, but my children. All the uprooting I did, but see, the Lord took that which is and making it as if it were. So I met a lot of people, and a lot of things happened, and the Lord, just because I gave my life to Him, and He's the author and finisher of my faith, and He's the first thing that I think about when I raise up and bow down, and the last thing I think about when I go to bed. That's how I'm able to stay faithful and true. That's how I'm able to become that husband that I'm becoming. Faithful, reliable, dependable, trustworthy, honest, loving, compassionate, sensitive, but yet bold and meek, but bold and ruthless, and extremely with purpose and absolute absolute certainty in my steps, and just boldness in my faith, just through what I'm doing right now, just rolling with this, and I'm not worried about what people think. For the most part, I love you, and I do care about what you think, despite what may become of it. I'm always going to be you're always going to be one of my number one fans, no matter what. It doesn't matter, because that's just, I'm loyal, I'm faithful to people like that. Like I said, with the Sean, with the bow hunting thing, once I seen the merry-go-round and round thing, that's when I stopped doing that. Still love him. I got family that are into they're Catholics. It has nothing to do with the fact that Catholics. It has to do with the system. That is, there's more going on there than you think. See, us Irishmen, yeah, royal bloodline. The Lord, He justifies whom He justifies. And He has a purpose, and it's coming to fruition. And it doesn't like it. And it's trying to keep this conversation from taking place, because what's going to happen, that seed that's already been planted, or that may be getting planted, is getting watered, and then it's going to be a nice harvest, people. It's a beautiful harvest. So I'm now being sentenced. My wife is moving out and back down to Centralia, Chehalis. She ends up having the baby, Donnie, in Olympia, hospital in Olympia. And I finally get a hold of her, and she's like, oh my gosh. Because she right when she moved out, when my mom, and that's, she'd left, that's what Satan wanted to do. She wanted to stress her out. She was just about to have the baby. And she's like, oh my God, that lady's, there's something wrong with her. And I didn't know, but now I know. It was evil. And I'm so sorry. So I ended up going back to Walla Walla, because that was my parent institution. I went to Charlton and then on up to Wally World again, because that's my parent institution. I had my custody closed because of the assault on the officer, and then the hearing officer. Pardon me, people. So I went back to Walla Walla, and of course they kind of roughed me up a little bit, because I wasn't out all that long. And I get thumped up pretty good, out of love that I was back. And, I got a couple more tattoos. All these were done with an E string. And they actually, and I'm not bragging, all the tattoos I had, even though they seemed simple, they were really very good detail. These weren't just something that were just some stupid, they didn't, I didn't get just something that was thrown on. The people that I dealt with and that we had an understanding there, they would never do. They were, and we would move things around, and we kind of almost rammed that place back then. It was crazy, and like I said, I believe there was like 4,800 people. It was like a city. And again, I'd like to add that the Lord allowed me to eke out some sense and some enjoyment and excitement and stuff. Even in all this dysfunction, I'll be looking out the window even, and I'll go back, like I went back to a time and place, like a song does. And I'll get this feeling that I had when I was younger. And I was like, wow, man, how was I able to feel that? That feeling I had back then when I'm looking at the trees or something, and it's like I'd been there before, really. It's amazing. Just like I do with some people. And it's happening more and more. And this feeling that the Lord says, see, son, I allowed you to experience that feeling to keep you alive and living and becoming and striding for life, so that you could be honed, and that dross will come up, and it will be, the gold will be, dross will be off the top, just like the cream, and the gold, and the reflection will be seen. It was a process, but in order for you, and in your free will, you cried out, you had intercessory prayer too, because I was like, well, what about free will? But that is completely so, I don't have to have all the answers. That's a beautiful thing, because I've seen so much now that I trust my heavenly creator. When I get that sense, when I get that feeling, and sometimes I have to patiently wait, and sometimes it takes I'm still waiting on some stuff, as some of you may know. But my point is that past, I experienced things, not all of it, but there's little gems, little gold nuggets that I didn't know were gold nuggets. It's almost like the charcoal I eat, the little coal, like after so much pressure and time, it just becomes a diamond. And all this stuff that was happening in my life, I was just a diamond. And after they were just little, just little chances for happening. It's all they were, and I was able. And then now the Lord showed me all these beautiful things that when I get to experience them, he just told me just right now. Pardon me, He just even said right now, son, oh, it's going to even get better. It's because it's increasing. So I literally have lived, of course I lived the past, but the past is becoming the future, and not just my past, but like other people's past and other incidences, and like songs. Like I was part of writing some of them while I was alive, not the ones before I was actually alive. It's hard to explain, but so anyway, so she has the baby. I'm in Walla Walla. She moves to Walla Walla to be closer to me so I can see Donnie. But what takes place is just it's a tragedy, but also a miracle, because there was some whacked out demonic witch of a lady named Shirley that was trying to get, because she met Tammy at the homeless shelter, brought her into the house, found out Tammy had given Justin up and was getting into her head and was going to have her leave Donnie with her. Why? And just a bunch of stuff had taken place, and I'm gonna talk about that. But right now, I'm gonna let you go, because it's 8:13. And I want to make sure that I at least visit with my grandson just a little bit before he goes down for Betty Bye. So I love you, Millie, and love you, Tor. And Gavin, thank you so much. I had this impression that you were very, very gifted when it comes to the internet and technical, technical, digital technical, whatever they call it, computer tech type savvy person, which I've been having. It's crazy. But anyway, so just thank you very much because I picked up that pun that little dirtbag said about, well, she's dumb. Well, she's smarter than I am. Maybe not wisdom wise, but she's becoming that way. Look what she said. It might sound one way listening to that speech when she was there in Washington, Millie, but people's hearts that were being circumcised, that needed to hear certain things, those words were being reconfigured right in midstream. I seen them. I seen it. And the Lord said, "This is what happens with my anointed." Except, we all have our own free will. He's not going to force anything on us. So I'm going to let you go. I love you guys. Have a good evening. And I'm going to put on, because Tor talked about the movie, so I went ahead and found one, Die Hard, and I'll just go ahead and get me some more water. And man, things are going real good on other things too, but I just see things shaping up. Just shaping right up, baby. So, love you. You guys have a good night. And thank you for all that you do. And I'd like to just almost bust out in a song, but so many are going through my head. I don't want to leave. I have to be careful on you know, because I know, and you know, again, I'm not rubbing this in, but I can see that sometimes people can get unnecessarily jealous, and I also know that you know, we're human and stuff, but just keep it true. Keep that keep that bed, you know, those sheets, or just, you know, just send the fella, you know, and he'll graciously bow out. But you know that, you're my go-to girl. So I love you guys. Not any Fruit Loop stuff, but for my future wife. Have a good night. God bless everybody.